Look, I'm out of research since 2014. I'm in pension, but I had 30 years of research in the field of allergology, autoimmunity. I was involved in making, at the very beginning, monoclonal antibodies. I was, for example, one of the first one who made a monoclonal against interleukin 2, it's cytokine, which now plays a role. And then later on, we switched to making artificial antibodies, DARPins, things like that. Very interesting things, which basically are a picture of a small evolution in the test tube. So all my life, I worked on B cells and antibodies, more or less. And then I was, when after my time in America as a postdoc at the NIH, where I at that time, HIV was just found, was new, and all these guys were fighting together. Who is the actual guy who found it? So Gallo and Tony Fauci had some little fights, but finally Gallo won, and Fauci, later on, he became the clinical master of this disease. And since then, everybody knows him in America, but also in the scientific field. And he is... and I later on still had contacts because he is the director of the Institute of Allergy there, like I was the director of the Institute of Immunology and Allergy at the University of Bern. So, and that is until today the most panic-inducing principle, namely that most media still speak about today we had so many new infections.
Yesterday, you might remember, we reported the highest number of infections.
Which is totally, it's not true. A virus, it's a particle. It goes to everybody. So if somebody is immune, the virus also goes into this body. And it will multiply even a little bit. But if you're immune, you attack the virus first with antibodies, and you make immediately debris. The virus is destroyed. You have only parts of the virus around in your tissue. If you make a swab, or in your blood, if you go and test you will find this debris, and part of the debris will be nucleic acids, RNA. And if you make a PCR, all these people will be positive because the PCR picks up two tiny, or if it's a good assay, 3, sometimes 2, sometimes only 1 tiny little piece of RNA that is then amplified. And this assay cannot tell you whether you had the virus or you just had some dead chunk of the virus, which still gives you a positive result. So corona positive with a PCR, everybody should realize this is not a quantitative assay, it's a qualitative assay. It tells you only a little tiny bit of DNA, of RNA, nucleic acid was there, but it doesn't tell you whether it was what the virus complete or even a virulent, meaning a virus that can really make you sick. All this is not in this test. This test only says little piece was there, and that no other virus ever on this planet has been accompanied by so much testing, and a testing that has created so much nonsense and panic.
Yeah, I'd have to agree, and I've been stunned since April at this phenomenon, and I might show on the screen in the edit afterwards a phenomenon from 2009 swine flu, where the PCR test was racked up. There was indeed a surge in America of mortality, and then it fell off in the classic Gompertz curve, for all the reasons you say. But then at the end, when the mortality had fallen and there was an element of hysteria built up, they ramped up testing, and there was an enormous increase in positives over the summer season, but the mortality was gone. So you've basically got a measure that can create hysteria with no real meaning, because the mortality is gone, largely, the impacts are gone, but you're creating hysteria with this measurement, which, as you say, it doesn't really mean anything anymore. So it's a stunning thing to watch unfold in the past month or two.
Yes. And, you know, exactly the same thing has happened now in Switzerland. There were, we have now, we have to wear masks in public transportation. And that decision was taken 2 weeks after they have ramped up PCR testing.